I'm going to touch here on the laws of the peanut butter promise. We have the law of cause and effect, which means that we do something and then we get a result. In the farm community, we call it the law of sowing and reaping. Yes, it is the law that says that we plant something, there is a season that we wait for it to grow, and then we harvest it. And we cannot make the harvest season go any faster than we want. Tuesdays at my home are truth days. And the truth days is I stand on a scale and it tells me how I've done from the Tuesday before to that one. It does not lie to me. I cannot pray my way to better results than I want. It is like a mirror. It is truth. And the law of sowing and reaping is like that as well. We sit from Mama's deck and we watch the Rons. They spread manure on the field, and then they plow the field, and then they plant. And we asked Dave, what did you plant? And he said, we planted corn. And we're not really sure it is corn till it comes up. And then they cultivate that corn, and then they spray that corn. And just like the crabs in our life, we need to go through at times and spray for the weeds and get rid of the rocks and cultivate, because otherwise the weeds grow by default. The law of sowing and reaping. The next one is the law of accumulation, which means everything matters. We like to have a cup of coffee in the morning, and we used to have this little drip thing. And you come down and you turn the lights on and whatever, and there's this drip, 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 and it doesn't seem like it's doing much, but 15 minutes later you have a pot of coffee, which means everything matters, which means eventually things will add up, both for the good and the bad. How do we accumulate a savings account? We do that by adding to the account. How do we become broke? By the law of accumulation and passing on out. So law of accumulation. Next one is the law of belief. It doesn't matter what we believe. I can tell you that I think that gravity pulls up. And you could say, oh, show us how that works, Steve. Here, you fall forward and we'll see how that works. And as I would be holding my once pristinely white handkerchief to my nose and I would have blood and broken teeth, I would know that the law of gravity pulls down. These are laws, they're non-negotiable things. So be careful, little ears and little eyes, what you're bringing in, because that's what you're going to believe, the law of belief. Next one is the law of expectation, which says so many of those dreams and visions you have, if they're realistic and they line up with your purpose, you can expect them to happen. But you got to go after them. You have to do it. As a young man, there I was. I wanted to be on the radio. I wanted to be a speaker. And 25,000 cans of beer later, that's the miracle, is these things still happened. So you can still get to where it is that you want to go. If while you have a pulse, you have a purpose. We can get to where we need to go. Expect good things to happen, but make sure your goals are realistic. What is the peanut butter promise? Well, one day I was sitting in the parking lot of one of my favorite coffee shops, and the rain was coming down, and I had this vision for the Coincidence or God Incidence television show, and all of a sudden it occurred to me that I couldn't do this alone. It occurred to me that I had just gotten a call from a television executive in Los Angeles, California, and they said, hey, we can help you move this thing along. And so it dawned on me, we can have all the talent in the world, but we need the scout to discover us. We are not islands to ourselves. We have dreams, we have goals, but we need people to help us, which is really a good thing. Otherwise, we think that we can do it on our own, and all of us know we can't do anything on our own. And so all of a sudden this thing came to me with the peanut butter and the jelly, and I worked it out until all of a sudden I had this revelation after a couple of days, the peanut butter promise, which is this. It is a hope and encouragement-filled, priorities-based, integrity-centered, life-enhancing philosophy that says we're born with every talent, ability, and gift, and the necessary desire to fulfill a God-given purpose. The important part is the God-given purpose. Just as peanut butter was destined to meet jelly, there are people called peanut butter promise partners that will come into your life to help you achieve your dream goals and fulfill your purpose. Those dreams and desires in your heart that are in agreement with your purpose will come true at just the right time. It's the at just the right time part, meaning there is a real timing element to this. The success formula for the peanut butter promise says this. that it is keeping your priorities in order and your integrity intact as you use your talents, abilities, and gifts to achieve your dream goals and fulfill your purpose. That is a different definition than some that we have read in the world that says it's the big house, right? The car, the money, the boats. We're not saying things are bad, okay? What we're saying is that you can be successful if you choose to do things with integrity, keep your priorities in order, and fulfill your God-given purpose. That's the real key to the whole thing. Number one is the principle of integrity. You know, I have a favorite fast food place that I like to go to. And in this fast food place, they have this beverage dispenser. And the beverage dispenser has all these different soda pops. And I usually order water with a little lemon. But I stand in front of that thing, and every once in a while, a little voice on my shoulder says, you know, it's pretty hot outside. I don't think they'd really care if you took a little of the lemonade. Well, I'm proud to tell you I've never taken that bait, but I'm not above temptation. Integrity says do the right thing even when nobody's watching, right? And the thing about integrity is it can take an awful long time for you to get the trust of the people, and it can go bang just like that. One time there was a leak underneath the faucet at home, and we put a pail under there, and after an hour or two there wasn't much in there, but drip, 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 and finally overnight there was a whole bunch of drips in that pail, and as I went to empty it, I kicked the bucket, and it ran out. A whole long time to get in there, but gone. And integrity can be like that as well. You take a lifetime building integrity, and then through an act, whatever it is, you can lose integrity. Second one's the principle of responsibility. When we take responsibility for our condition of our life, 100% responsibility for our lives, that is a great step to maturity. And when I woke up that morning, April 15th, 1991, knowing I needed to do something, I took responsibility. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have blamed a whole bunch of people for the mess I was in, but I could find the mess if I looked in the mirror. So responsibility, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Then there is the principle of self-discipline, which basically says that we need to be disciplined. I'm just reading a book from S. Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, written in 1989, and he said, you know, it's easier to succeed than fail. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, it's easier to do the things that work and stay on the right road and have some peace than to let things go, do them wrong, and then you have the cost of doing them again, the cost of the mistakes, and so you get the point. But I will tell you this, that if someone were to ask me, really, what do you think that it is, in my humble but deadly accurate opinion, that will help get people to where they're supposed to go, and the people who have truly achieved good things, I would say self-discipline. Self-discipline is a real key. You have to be able to do the hard things that nobody else wants to do. Because it's easy to be the one in the stream, the wide gate, right? It's easy to just kind of go. But it is difficult, and it takes courage to be able to do that, self-discipline.